and jellyfish, wombos of all sizes, welcome back to A.S.K's videos. If you're new here, I do cartoon reviews and countdowns, and if you enjoy that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. Today I'm counting down my picks for the top 10 best episodes of the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've already talked about this show as a whole in my old trash review on the show, and I've talked more about it in my Ask vs. Zero between it and the 2012 series. I've also talked about it as a review in my Fathers and Sons review and Insane in the Membrane review. I haven't done a top countdown since February, where I talked about the top 10 worst modern cartoons with color reviews. Before that, I had much more top countdowns on their topics. Some I liked, some not so much. And looking back now, I see that redoing a topic I talked about would be repetitive. Yet I've talked about so many topics, I'm kind of losing ideas, especially in my SpongeBob lists. Although sometimes I get ideas. After all, top countdowns are currently my channel's most viewed and successful show, bringing in most of my subscribers. Maybe if I had made them better, I would be growing faster than I currently am. This show is one of my favorites, and although talking about some episodes and stuff in the examples previously mentioned, I think this list will be a real thriller to some of my bigger fans of the show. Kudos to TMNT 2003 Master. Anyway, your viewer enjoyment is as important to me as to you, so turn your quality to the highest and turn on captions if you like. And let me stop you there, bucko. Before you go to your little keyboard and type away about how I'm a stupid little 10-year-old boy, this is my opinion. So don't get your knickers in a knot if what I'm about to say in any way contradicts your personal opinion. I'll respect yours if you do mine. So let's get into my picks for the top 10 episodes of one of my favorite shows, and probably one of the best written shows out there, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003. Get your pizza in here because we're starting this off right now.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Cousin Sid. This episode is interesting, to say the least. Definitely risks bringing a whole new set of characters and a pretty cool premise regarding Casey's ancestors and their history. It is the first episode of Season 4 with the Turtles in their beat-up state after finally defeating the Shredder in Exodus. Well, temporarily anyway. He uses the annoying character of Casey's cousin Sid, tells the story of how he joined the Purple Dragons, and tells the cool story of Casey's old grandfather. The fighting of the Turtles is very clever and fun to watch because of their inability to fight as well. For example, when Mikey is out hidden, he almost gets caught with a slight incident regarding his crutches. And the comedy is also pretty funny too, like how Mikey abandons Raph and then gets his comeuppance later. Overall, a pretty enjoyable episode with a great ending.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 9. Graduation Day Class of 2105. Well, this is going to surprise some people as it's in Season 6, otherwise known as the Fast Forward season. I don't love this season, but I tried to be unbiased in my choices. I include episodes from almost all the seasons, excluding Season 7, and this is the only episode from Season 6. And I swear I didn't do that on purpose. Anyway, the episode. This episode was my favorite episode of Season 6 because it quite simply hit all the standards. Not that all the episodes of Season 6 don't do that, but most don't come close to this episode and or have plot holes or unlikable characters. The episode has a cool plot with Mikey not being focused on his training and having to go through his 3 brothers to get his 3 pieces of his nunchuck, which Master Splinter cut up. If he passes all 3, he gets to be in the rank of Chunin with his brothers. A pretty complicated plot, am I right? But it works because the 22 standard minute runtime helps us stretch it out and give everything time to establish. So the character of actual focus and determined Mikey is shown, especially after the climax, where he realizes that it wasn't the video games that's been holding him back, but himself. The action and funny dialogue is pretty cool too, and a pretty enjoyable episode overall.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Touch and Go. What an episode. This episode is probably an episode I enjoy more than the next guy on a lot of levels. Why? Well, on one side, I don't see anyone praise it too much on a big level, and I think it's a pretty underrated episode in general just because of how simple and mundane it seems. The plot is about Mikey and Splinter having to investigate the sewers while being spied on by 2 brute companions named Touch and Go, who harness their power by touching each other. One is fast, one is strong, but both are never stopped by Mikey and Splinter. Now, a few things I love about this episode. The first minor thing is the plot. This is a great and very simple plot that actually brings more to the table than one might think. It also brings in some new characters, including Touch and Go, who even though they do appear once more in the show like the Garbage Man, I wish they appeared more often. It also grows on Mikey's character, once again like the last episode, and makes him learn his lesson and get a few laughs while doing it. And speaking of laughs, let's get into my favorite thing about this episode, the comedy. There were so many jokes, most of which from Mikey. There was a joke about Mikey being an unruly teenager, the joke where Go keeps hitting Mikey until Mikey eventually just kicks him back, to Mikey saying, "Breaking through? What are these guys, Terminators?" Or him talking to Hun in the end. But those were Mikey's jokes. There was also the minor animation joke where in the wide shot it showed a hotel called the Vilton Hotel, which of course is a spin on the Hilton Hotel. Or Leo saying that Raph must be getting himself into trouble and Raph sipping tea out of a cup. So much laughs are to be had. Oh, I haven't even gotten to debatably my second favorite thing about this episode, Raph's subplot. It's about Raph stumbling upon a blind woman named Mrs. Morrison, who can't pay off her mortgage and only has her cat Lucy for family. It's very heartwarming, and I'm glad they didn't screw up that concept. Even the ending is great, with Raph giving Touch and Go's money to Mrs. Morrison to pay off her mortgage and live a better life. But there were unfortunately a few small plot holes, like Touch and Go's money going everywhere, but Mikey gets the full suitcase when it comes back to show the others, or the small but still noticeable scene right after the beginning where Raph and Leo are helping April with the store. Yeah, I thought Turtles only worked in the shadows, but overall, those extremely minor details don't hinder my love for this episode. A great episode overall that definitely deserved this longest heck review.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 7.
Lone Raph and Cub. Man, this episode was so much fun. You'll see these first few are all pretty simple episodes. Even though it's a filler episode in between the loss and search for Master Splinter, it's still one of my favorites. As a huge fan of Raph, yes, he's my favorite turtle and has been since I was a kid, deal with it. Anyway, as a huge fan of Raph, I think this expands his character so much. It is one of my personal favorites for a lot of reasons. But enough gushing, what's good about it? Well, it starts with Raph being typical Raph the hothead. I think when your episode is about Raph growing into an extra character to the end, you should start it with Raph being a hothead. Raph goes on a personal search for Splinter and stumbles upon a kid named Tyler. Typical Raph, he tries to escape, but the kid is Raph 2.0. They argue until Raph realizes that the kid's mom got kidnapped by a few thugs, and she had the footage of the thugs being bad. Raph decides to help him and goes blind doing it. It is a great episode overall with some comedy, awesome action, and a great character morality for Raph.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 6.
Prodigal Son. Wow, I love this episode since I saw it a big while ago. It just ties in so many things. After Karai got her revenge on the turtles for beating the Shredder, the last time, by destroying the turtles' lair and separating them, it's up to Leo to come back from the Ancient One to reunite the turtles and finally deal with Karai's annoyance. I think the first about 2/3 are about Leo looking for the turtles and imagining what happened to all of them, when last episode it seemed like they all died from Karai's perspective. After getting them together with, by the way, not a lot of jokes, as this is more of a serious episode, he goes to take care of Karai. He cuts off the Shredder statue's head and leaves, which by the way is my favorite part of the episode. Overall, a pretty enjoyable episode and a lot of tight ends.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 4.
Exodus. Well, time to start the special episode picks, and we're better to start than Exodus, the last episode in Season 3. This special 44-minute episode is so full of stuff. Firstly, there's zero filler, none whatsoever. The dialogue is great. The plot is that Splinter and the Turtles, after attended a fake party made by Rokusaki for the mayor, hitch a ride on Shredder's ship to go stop him from getting his revenge on the Utroms. This episode introduces so much. It introduces even more of the new character of Dr. Chaplin. You know, don't look now, but I think it's a reference to something. It also introduces some big news for the show. The fact that the Shredder is actually a big bad Utrom named Shrell. It also explains a lot about the world this show has created, such as other planets Shrell has destroyed, and some history about the Utroms. There was also a bit of comedy, such as the jokes with Raph hitting Mikey when he gets too silly, or Stockman betraying Shredder and Chaplin being super talkative and Shredder reacting to it. This is more of a serious episode, but I respect their efforts and most plot points and jokes hit home, or at least in the neighborhood. Not in the nearest intersection though, way too far off the metaphor there. And the solution was pretty dark, to be honest. The turtles planned to blow up Shredder's ship with them on it, to stop the ship from getting to the Utroms. Little creatures who've lived for thousands of years can't even protect themselves. Anyway, they do it, but the Utroms end up freezing time and saving all of them, and sentencing Shrell, aka the Shredder, to a long cold life, literally. So yeah, pretty clever resolution to the story. But unfortunately, there are a few minor flaws that kinda do bring the episode down a bit. Hey, can't be biased, dude. I think the fake out, for one, was really dumb to do. If you don't know what I mean, let me explain. There was a scene where Karai and Shredder defeat the Turtles and Splinter. Splinter got shocked, Leo got stabbed, Donnie got punched, Raph got beaten, and Mikey got kicked. Even Honeycutt's flesh dash thing broke. But despite Leo and Raph nearly dying, they still lived to blow themselves up. I personally thought if there was gonna be some great action, which there was, it should have also been less so they could live realistically to do anything. Also minor error, but even though all the characters are in space for half the episode in gravity-free motionless space, there doesn't seem to be a gravity change for the characters. They walk like they're on Earth. Just thought I'd point that out, but a great episode overall and would highly recommend it. Don't think the bad things are super heavy on this episode's shoulders. It's alright and natural in a 44-minute special.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 2.
Still nobody. Wow, what an episode. This is one of the more serious episodes of the show, and I think it is epic. It brings back Nobody, this show's brilliant depiction of Batman, which, by the way, is the best way to take such a complex and multi-dimensional character as Batman and depict it as nothingness in the TMNT universe. True genius in my opinion. There wasn't a lot of comedy in this one, which is okay. It is such a moral episode about a street punk named Jenko, who is the leader of a gang called the Turks. The Turtles try to defeat him before his men kill a man who witnessed Jenko hurt someone. This episode takes a dark and moral tone when Nobody tells the other gang kids what a horrible and fearful life they will have if they stay with that punk. And everyone gets their comeuppances. I would have personally preferred if Raph and Leo weren't so tertiary in terms of characters in this episode. It feels like they were just thrown in to the side. But I can see how it's okay, as the plot had to focus on Nobody versus Jenko. Overall, a very powerful episode.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 3.
Turtles in Space. This 5-part, not to mention 100-minute special is amazing. The plot is very solid, being about the turtles accidentally going to space after their search for Splinter and having to rescue a fugitoid named Professor Honeycutt. The characters are very funny and all play a part to move the story, and they all follow their personalities. The jokes are all really funny too, like Mikey acting like a woman or the name of the Triceratops Gruel, and the animation was also very smooth and nice. Every second of this was worth it, which I think makes it great.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 2.
Same as it never was. Man, what an episode. I will definitely do a super review on this episode very soon, so I'll keep this brief. But no, it's one of my favorite cartoon episodes ever, although obviously number 1 is more so. So, what is there to say? This episode is part of the Ultimate Draco miniseries that had every turtle go to an alternate world and do something. Donnie's is hands down the best. The plot of Donnie going to a horrible future where Casey and Splinter are dead, Raph and Leo fight, and Mikey has only one arm is so dark yet so epic. I think this was the cap of what 4Kids allowed on television, and it really paid off. The character of Donnie is perfect for this plot because he is the smart one and would be the one to leave the situation like the episode states. The voice actor of Donnie also did a fantastic job, I think. The emotion on top of it all is out of this world. That ending fight with Shredder is one of the darkest scenes I've ever seen in my life, with Raph, Leo, and Mikey all dying. Just an amazing episode through and through that if you haven't seen, you're missing out on a lot.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Number 1.
Return to New York. So this is my favorite and the best episode, in my opinion, of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003. Why is that so? Well, the plot is extremely solid and nice, being about the turtles coming back to their lair and sneaking into the Shredder's fortress to hopefully kill him once and for all. Temporarily, anyway. The pacing was extremely smooth and not too fast or slow, and the characters all do something useful to the story. April guides them, Splinter leads the turtles, Donnie does much of all the hard work to get them in there to begin with, Raph serves as the main brawn, Leo leads and kills the Shredder at the end, and Mikey serves to be backup and the occasional comic relief. They all do something integral to the plot. The comedy is also hilarious when it is there, like Raph saying the only difference between men and boys is the size of their toys, which always makes me chuckle, or Mikey spitting 3-month-old milk on Casey. The villains are also pretty cool, from Shredder himself to his clones, Stockman, the disappearing foot ninjas, the 5 elements, or the elite foot ninjas. The villains never give too little in their own light. The Sword of Tengu was also a nice touch. So yeah, Return to New York is the best episode, in my opinion, of TMNT 2003. And that's that. So don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you like what you see. If you're new, feel free to check out my YouTube home with your videos, and check out my website for links and tons of spoilers. And join my new Discord for fun chats and memes. Links as always in the description below and card up above. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!
And having to go through his 3 brothers to get and having to go through his three brothers to get hit. And having to go through his three brothers to get the three pieces of his nunchuck. After getting them together, with by the way, Donnie does much of all the hard work to get it. Donnie does much of all the hard work to get there. Oh my god. His three pieces of his nunchuck, which Master Splinter cut up. I was doing so good.